We thank everybody for coming to the 2020 induction of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. It's a long time coming. We were going to have it in May, and as everybody knows, we got hit by this COVID business. And we thought that it would probably be gone by the time we would hold it here in September. Well, that's not working out too well. It's still here with us. But we're doing the best that we can, and I think we've got a perfect day for this. And so I think we'll start. The inductees for 2020 are George Gordon, Paul Lamontagne, Tom Peters, Roger Poulin, Judy Rinaldi, Joe Wilkinson, and the late Ted Wynot. Our last year's inductees are here. J.R. Tozier, Ron Hall, Herb Yancey. We have Cal Reynolds here, and Bob Martin, and Bruce Dunham, and J.R. Tozier. We have pretty heavy hitters here in the front and back rows of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. This is the fourth year that we're going to have this, that we've had, that we've had it. And there's some people that we have to thank to make this thing happen. And I would like to recognize Mr. Paul and Marilyn Crane.
Hey.
For making this happen. Paul is very gracious to turn this museum over to this Hall of Fame every year. And we really appreciate it. As you know, Paul was the first American to ride the Bombardier Skidoo back in 1959. And he continued his entire career, his entire life, to the service of the snowmobile. And there's nobody that's done it more for snowmobiling than Paul Crane. Next, I'd like to introduce my wife, Glenda, and thank her for helping me on this endeavor. She's not a snowmobiler. She doesn't care about snowmobile racing. But she's helping me because this is my dream and my passion. And I want to thank my wife, Glenda. She's really worked hard. I want to thank Mr. Greg Westcott for his 4 years of service as a board member on the Hall of Fame. He left us this year. But I'd like to welcome Mr. Bob Martin and Mr. Bruce Beaurivage, who stepped in as new board members of the Hall of Fame. So give those guys a big hand for stepping in. And I want to give a shout out to Mr. Bob Clark, is a board member, Grand Prix Chairman Shane Beatty, Greg Allen, who put this tent up and put this beautiful floor down, and he's running the camera today. Greg Allen could not have done more for us today. Thank you, Greg. My stepson Alan put these speakers in this morning. Thank you, Alan Cormier, for helping us out with these speakers. A gentleman stepped up this morning and presented us with a small trophy. I've only seen one other one like it. It's a trophy from the 1964 Grand Prix, the very first Grand Prix. It's inside the museum right now. He donated it in his grandfather Ray LeGrand's honor, who was the head of Tri-State Power sled distributorship for Skidoo in Lee, Mass. So Jim Goccione donated it for us in his grandfather's honor. Thank you very much, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Please thank Mike LaPierre over there, the other camera guy. Mike has got a few things to say after we do the induction. He's got a few words to say, but we're going to get on with the show right now. But Mike has the largest vintage snowmobile website on Facebook. We have 1,800 members right now in the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame page. Mike has over 50,000 members. He does an enormous amount of work for the snowmobiling world here in New England every year. And he's here every year, helping out here. So give Mike LaPierre a big hand. Let me see. The next person
Thank you, Mike.
to thank has been one of our biggest assets over the years. He has collected and restored many iconic race sleds and has kept nearly every Eastern racer's resume from the 1970s to when they retired, and was instrumental in helping to compile Joe Wilkinson's and many other records for the Hall of Fame. We have given Mr. Russ Swinton the honor as the official historian of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. Russ Swinton, stand up please, back row. Russ does a lot for us.
Great, Russ.
And
Forgetting.
the toughest part for me in all of this has been finding suitable period photos to grace the plaques for our new members. Ironically, one of the toughest challenges this year was finding a good photo for our first woman racer to be inducted. The beautiful Judy Rinaldi never had a good photo taken of her. What's the matter with you guys? So a guy by the name of Tom Seinberg, I think his name was, Tom came up with a great photo. I showed Judy, she okayed it, and it's on the wall in there, and it's on one of these plaques right here. So we've got a decent picture of Judy Rinaldi. My gosh. So anyway, here we go. We're going to start. But before we start, let's have a moment of silence for people that we've lost this year. Audrey Decker, the matriarch of the Decker family. Gary Nickerson of Syracuse, New York, the famous snowmobile racer out there. And George Fogg was a drag racer, snowmobile drag racer from Seabrook, New Hampshire, and we just lost him. Could we please have a moment of silence for these and many other people that we've lost? Thank you. Okay, let's start with our first inductee. Mr. George Gordon. George, you can go. George, why don't you just sit there for a minute? I'm going to read your little plaque and then I'll have you come up. George earned the 4th lowest bib number for stock classes during his first year of competition, becoming season high point winner in B stock and second high point winner in A stock. He dominated every class he entered at the 1974 New England Snowmobile Open in Greenville, Maine, winning all 4 places in A stock, B stock, and C stock. George won first place in B stock at the 1974 World Series in Eagle River, Wisconsin. During the second race in 1974, George was injured in a crash, ending his bid for the 74-75 season. In his very first race back in 1975, he won 3 firsts and a second at Jackman, Maine, the very first race of the season. For the next 3 years straight, George enjoyed a perfect attendance record by never missing a single race. George had garnered over 75 trophies in just the first 3 years of racing, attaining the number 2 Go Big. His impeccable gentleman-like conduct, both on and off the track, earned George Gordon New England Sportsman of the Year Award for 1978. He grabbed 3 firsts, 3 seconds, and a third at the inaugural Granite State Open Championships in Berlin, New Hampshire in 1979. George worked tirelessly to improve racing, both as a member of the USSA New England Board of Directors and as chairman of the Safety Committee. Mr. George Gordon, please come take your plaque. Thank you, George. Yes, sir, George. Thank you very much. Got a little. Won't be long. We'll set it right here for you. Thank you very much. I want to start off by saying I want to thank Midge. Midge, is this working? Yep, there we go. Midge, Paul, Rick, Bruce, the directors of the Hall of Fame, for allowing me to be inducted into the New England Snowmobile Hall of Fame. I'm humbled to be on the wall with all the great races that I've looked up to when I first started. I want to thank Rick and Eric Sybil. As their father, George, who was the one that got me started racing in USSA. At the time, I was racing local races in Templeton, Mass area, and after one of the races, we were at a snowmobile club having a drink. That's a surprise. And Rick's father, George, said, I think you should be racing in USSA. And if you want to, I own an AutoCap dealership, and I will sell you a race car, race sled, and all the parts you need at my cost. He kept his word. I bought a race sled that I raced in A and B stock. My son also, here's the one here. set it on here.
Why don't you hold that for me, Mitch?
Oh, that's better. Okay, where the hell was it? I race in the USSA. If you want to, I own a dealership, and I will sell you a race sled and all the parts you need at my cost. And he kept his word. I bought a sled that I raced in A and B stock, and my son also raced in Junior 1 and 2, and he did very well, winning 1 and 2 all along the way. I'm sorry to say, Mr. Simler has passed away at a very young age. I raced snowmobiles every weekend for over 10 years. I want to tell you the best help I had was my son and John Finity. He went with me every weekend, and he also want to thank my family for putting up with me being away every weekend. I met a lot of great people along the way, some of which I still are friends with today. Just to say a few: Eric and Rick Simler, Bruce Borvard, the Roystons, the Santises, John Hooper, Ian Tononi, Marvin and Helen Rock, J.R. Tozier, John Merriman, Lanny Benoit, Del Garcia, Peter Olanek, Davey Avery, and his father, the legend, the Holmes family, the Yusko family, and so many more. I want to give a special thanks to Samantha for watching my kids when I first started racing. Thank you, Sam. The snowmobile has been a great part of my life for 45 years. I am honored to be in the Hall of Fame. Thanks again, Mitch, Paul, Rick, Bruce, and the Board of Directors. Awesome, George.
Come up here, please, so we have a picture. Can have your wife come up.
Our next inductee is Mr. Paul Lamontagne. You can stay seated, Paul. I'll just read this. Paul Lamontagne, inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2020. Paul began racing snowmobiles in 1969 for a rough distributor, the Harris Company from Portland, Maine.
Get in there so I don't get you back.
He won both cross country and in Mod 1 at the 1969 Lakes Region Open in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. Paul grabbed a first place win in Mod 2 at Berlin, New Hampshire in 1969. He received a full sponsorship from the Bardall Oil Company for the 1970 season, racing rough snowmobiles. At the 1970 Maine State Championship, he won first place in both the cross country and in Mod 4. Paul broke through Timberland Machines Incorporated Sea of Yellow by winning in Mod 3 with his rough at Bangor, Maine in 1970. At the 1970 Lancaster Grand Prix, he took first place in the cross country and first place in Mod 2. Grabbed first place wins in both the 440 stock class and in Mod 2 at the 1970 Pennsylvania State Championship. Paul not only began racing chaparrals for Nelson, a small company from Portland, Maine in 1971, but helped to set up over 30 new dealers. In 1974, Mercury shipped him 2 brand new snow twisters. He went undefeated in both classes and was a shoo-in for the World Series, but was involved in a horrific crash at Boonville, New York, breaking both legs, an arm, and needing multiple skin grafts. Paul came roaring back in 1975, winning 5 out of 6 races at the season's first event in Jackman, Maine, against hundreds of top New England drivers. He won most points and the championship. With nothing more to prove, Paul retired at year's end. You know, these records that we've got here don't tell half the story of a lot of these races. It's all that we can find. Paul Lamontagne certainly won more races than what we've got here. And all of these guys did a lot more in snowmobile racing than what we've got on these plaques. It's just what, it's 50 years ago. So a lot of records were lost. Paul Lamontagne deserves to be in this Hall of Fame, and here he comes right now. Come on, Paul. You too, Elaine.
Turn this way.
Face the camera.
Thank you.
Good job, Paul.
All set?
I got him. Yep.
Say something.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm really proud to be joining these great guys right here. I'm choked up. But it was all worth it. I watched these guys go, and I just wanted to be like them. And I'm going to tell you right, but it would never happen without these guys here. these guys run here. Paul and Ed and the group, of course, Mr. Gordon took my lines. He sent everybody here. But anyway, it's such an honor, you know, to be on that wall with all you folks. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was worth every bit. Every bit. And I'm going to tell you right now, there were times, you know, when you think, well, is this worth it? But I'm going to tell you right now, if I was to know what everything I've done, I'd still do it. And all I can say is I'm very grateful. And I got a little story to tell you. And I'm going to start right now and do my little buddy over there. And listen to this one. You're going to love this one. You know, when I started racing, I was 5'4.5". Okay? And after 12 years of racing, I was 5'3.5". Well, you probably all realize this, but I used to love those cross countries. But you know how many washouts I hit and hard stuff where I felt like my neck was going down through my shoulders? Well, I'll tell you, everyone here has probably had that happen to them at one time, whether it's trail riding, whether it's on a lake, and everything. And all I can say is, if I would have never raced or owned a snowmobile, I'd have probably grown up to be as tall as Cal Reynolds. I want to thank everybody, and I'm very proud to be in this group. And thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Paul. Very nice. Class act.
Thank you, Paul. Cal, did you lose any height? Okay. All right, our next inductee is Mr. Tom Peters, who can't be here to accept this award today. Tom has some health issues, and his doctor recommended that he not, get in with a crowd of people with his COVID thing. So he's home. Wished he could be here with us, and we wished he could be here with us. But he asked Mark Belanger to step in for him. So Mark, my friend Mark, is going to come up here and accept this plaque for Tom Peters. Come on up, Mark.
Hey.
I got to read it. Yeah, I got to read it. All right. Tom Peters, inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame for 2020. Tom was a small-town independent driver who raced entirely within the borders of the state of Maine during his 5+ years of professional snowmobile racing. He rode to a third-place finish in cross-country at Mapleton aboard a 1966 370 twin-cylinder Skidoo, and to a first-place finish in cross-country in the Class C division at Island Falls in 1968. Tom competed with the best Eastern drivers at the 1970 Paul Bunyan Open, taking second in the 650 class, and as the eventual winner Cal Reynolds told later, Tom gave me the race of my life. Tom raced to a first in Class A, a first in Class D, and a second in the Open class at Ellswood in 1970. He won both Mod 3 and Mod 4 in speed ovals, plus first in the Mod 4 drag race at Limestone in 1971. Won first place in both Mod 1 and Mod 2 at Holton, and captured the prestigious Buckingham Trophy at the Maine Maritime Snowmobile Championships in 1972. Coming out of retirement in 1976, he won another cross-country race in Presque Isle against much younger drivers. Tom Peters was recognized for his achievements and is the only snowmobile racer in the state of Maine's history to be inducted in 2018 into the Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame. Tom was a hometown hero in northern Maine. I had about 2 phone calls, and they said Tom Peters was our hero, and he conducted himself in sportsman-like conduct everywhere he went. And even though his record doesn't show it, Tom Peters believes, I believe that he needs to be in this Hall of Fame because he was a hero to many local people in northern Maine. And if he's inducted into the Maine State Motorsports Hall of Fame as the only snowmobile racer to be in there, then he needs to be in this Hall of Fame as well. Tom Peters is a heck of a nice guy. I wished he was here.
So I told Tom this morning I put on 3 pairs of socks to fill these shoes. And he said he was only a size 9, so we'll see if we can get through this. Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2020. It is with great disappointment and sadness that I cannot be here in person today to accept this nomination with all the years of inductees. To Paul and Midge, I know this has been said many times, but you guys are the greatest. To have the insight to honor all of us, now old warriors of winter, from the Eastern U.S. First, I would like to congratulate all the previous inductees that you see up here on the wall. That includes some of the greatest snowmobile races ever in any part of our country. Also, congratulations to all of the fellow inductees of 2020 class. Being a low-budget independent, I race primarily in northern Maine and in the Maritimes, in the Canadian Maritimes, where there were a few USSA sanctioned events. Being 5 or 6 hours away from these made it prohibitive to attend all of them every year. Next, I would like to dedicate my induction to my longtime friend and mentor, the late Leo Kiefer, who we lost 3 years ago on August 12, 2017, and also his partner, Lionel Plord of Kiefer and Plord, for having the confidence in me to sell me some of the rare and great racing sleds and providing me with a place to work on my machines for the support they gave me. I need to acknowledge my wife's brother-in-law, Ron Thibodeau, who was very instrumental in getting me hooked on sled racing in the mid-60s. A couple of years ago, I was inducted into the Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame as the only snowmobile racer ever inducted, which was a thrill of a lifetime. But to be included in this group is legendary. To be included in this group of races is legendary and a privilege and an honor of a lifetime. There are many people to thank making this possible. We as drivers could pick up the Monday morning paper, race results, and see our accomplishments and see our names in the spotlight, but never in these listings did you ever see the people who deserve as much credit for the contribution given as to these. It may have been family members, mechanics, pit people, etc., whose names never did show up. So thank you to all who were involved and made it possible. To my wife of nearly 57 years, thank you for all of the support while working on the sleds many nights, and I was away from home many weekends, chasing another win. To her and my mother Rose, who saved all the pictures and news clippings and memorabilia that I have today to share with the many as well today. To our 4 grown grandchildren, Lisa, Carmen, and Tommy II, and our 5 grandchildren, Emma, Zane, Sadie, Charlotte, Isabel, for supporting their old grandpa. I also need to thank my 1972 racing partner, Don Chandler, for his dedication to bringing winning sleds to the track week in and week out, for countless hours in fine-tuning and innovative ideas that made the sleds we raced together some of the most competitive on the track. Thank you to all the dedicated race fans, the supporters who braved some of the brutal winter weather to stand out there and watch and cheer us on. Thank you to all that are present here today to help celebrate this great honor of a lifetime for the class of 2020. Many have traveled long distances to be here and help honor all of us. In closing, I would like to pass along a great quote that was sent to me by our great friend Edward Midge Rosebrook. Be so good that you will never forget you. Thank you all. And it's good to see you, Fred Davis. Thank you.
The only time a snowmobile racer takes a knee is when they enter the turns. There's probably no tougher bunch in the world than a snowmobile racer other than the people that support them. And Tom just brought up a great point. The wives and all the people in the background are the ones that really should be thanked in a lot of these plaques right here. So we all know that. So please give a round of applause to the wives, the kids, the people that supported them. All right, Roger Pullen, racer promoter, inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2020. Roger began his snowmobile racing career in 1967 on a Skidoo 340 SS, displaying an early talent for going fast. He jumped to the big 669 Skidoo for 1969, always placing in the top 5 at every event he entered. Roger swept all 4 events at Bethel, Vermont in 1970, taking first places in the oval, drags, cross country, and slalom. In 1971, Team Rodkill made a good choice when offering Roger a chance to race Arctic Cats. Besides winning at smaller events, he grabbed a second and a third at Wolfboro, New Hampshire, Northampton, Mass., and 2 first-place finishes in Mod 2 and Mod 3 at Laconia, New Hampshire. Changing to Polaris in 1972, Roger was unbeatable in C-Stock and Mod 4 at every event he entered, and took many first and second place finishes in Mod 1 and Mod 5. Roger sometimes raced in 4 different classes in one day. He changed brands again for 1973, returning to Rodco's Arctic Cat, and continued his winning ways by taking 2 firsts at Ludlow, Vermont in Mod 3 in the open class, but it was at the New Hampshire State Championship in Wolfboro where Roger got his name on the Big Cup, becoming top point champion for 1973. For the 74-75 seasons, besides now holding over 60 top wins in 8 years of racing, Poulin claimed back-to-back titles in the Massachusetts State Championship and had his best year yet in wearing a number 7 gold bib around his chest and an invitation to the World Series of Snowmobile Racing in 1974 at Eagle River, Wisconsin, where he led the field in the early going on this hallowed historic track until his sled blew a clutch. We know who won that race. He's here today, Herb Yancey. Roger sponsored many local snow races and grass drags near his hometown of Randolph, Vermont, and was the main tech at EXT instructor for Rodco distributors, manning many hours on the phone and out in the field solving problems for their dealers. In April of 1976, at only 25 years old, Roger Poulin was diagnosed with cancer, cutting his short and incredible racing career. It, however, for Mr. Poulin, was just another win. He's here today. Mr. Roger Poulin, come up here, please.
That's all right. All right. Well, everybody's been saying what everybody's going to say about thanking these guys for doing a wonderful job. Thanks. I guess they want me to tell a story. I dressed up today. I put my necktie on. So, Mr. Paul Crane and Midge, they did such a wonderful job. Everybody respected and loved you for what you do. I look out across this field of drivers right here, and I'm honored to be part of the elite. I see a couple guys who are my favorite ones to race against since side by side, and J.R. Toad and Cal Reynolds. J.R. was a gentleman driver. He's a good driver, but he wasn't aggressive in the corner. I used to like come up on beside him and get right tight, and he'd get all nervous and all, but didn't like to bang his sled. I used to get a kick out of that. One day one day we was at a race and I looked back and I'm leading. He jumped his 440 and 650 class and I'm leading. I looked back after a lap and there's just JR behind me, ways back, and nobody behind him. I saw it's all right. I eased up and went back to see him. And I'm doing a real close thing again. Got him all nervous. We're going to do third, fourth corner. I started picking up snowballs. I'm throwing snowballs at him. It wasn't long. I see that fist come up and I know what he was saying underneath that helmet he had on. I love the guy. One day, it was in Pennsylvania, Cal, Justice, Pennsylvania, I think it was. On Saturday, I got hurt. It was only the second time I went to the hospital from racing and wrenched my hip all to hell. And I come back the next day because I love running my 650, favorite sled I ever ran in my life. And of course, everybody come by and see me how I'm doing. The race director was Del. What was the last name?
Colony.
Del Colony. He come ask me how I'm feeling, and I lied to him. I said, I feel good. I'm a little bit sore. I was hurting like a son of a gun. And I don't know if I went to see Cal or if he comes see me, because he's the only competition I had there at that track that day. And I remember telling Cal, I said, listen, if you could go by me today, just go by me. No wussing around. We can't do no bumping and running over each other like we usually do. We'd hit hard, him and I. We'd go at it. Yeah, he said, no problem, Rod. Yeah. You know how long that lasted? It lasted as long from the starting line to the first corner. We went in the first corner, next thing you know, Cal gives me a shot, sends me right to the snowbank. Well, I floundered in the snowbank to make sure I stopped the race. And we went back, and now my adrenaline's starting to go. I'm forgetting about the soreness. And I go and we take off. Again, it's Cal and I gone off the line. And I said, I'm going to fix him, mister. I pulled over on the inside of him, and when he let off going in that first corner, I didn't. I reached right over, and I picked him right up in my sled, and I took him right to the snowbank. I turned on the snowbank, Cal went over. And when I turned, I looked over my left shoulder. Here's Cal, totally upside down. His arms are both of them like this, and his legs the same way, but he's upside down about 4 feet above the snowbank. I hooked him around, and I stopped at the fourth. I didn't go down the line. I stopped, and I came out of the fourth, and I waited for Cal. He comes up, and he's spitting and chewing snow and taking it out of his helmet and cleaning his glasses. I said, you all right? He said, yeah. I said, hey. He got all cleaned up. I said, now you ready to go racing? He said, yeah, okay, we win. It was a great day. I took first, Cal took second. Like it did happen a lot. But when I started racing, I didn't do nothing but a little bit of seat time. And so I got to watch all these guys. And one guy I watched a lot was Cal Reynolds, because he's running their big machines. And I got the most respect for that person way back in the old days. as I did when I got better and kicking his ass. A lot. And I still have all the respect in the world for that man. He's probably my idol. When it comes to racing, Cal is my man. I was hoping my son would come today, but he had trouble with his own son. They got their thing they're doing, which is good. My son's name is Roger Cal Boland, and I wanted him to be Cal because of telling me how I respected this man, and I wanted Cal to hear that I gave my son his middle name. So, I don't know where to go with this. Yeah. I remember I used to think racing 24/7 outside in the fall waiting for it to rain. Snow. And I raced and I learned and I learned. I raced with great people, and they had more money behind me. It was a shame. I either had to race for a millionaire or a distributor, and I always had everything I wanted. And then one day, in February, I took a championship, something Governor's Cup or something in Massachusetts, and that was in February. And in April, when it was 75, that I got sick with cancer. And in 75, they gave me 0 to 3 months to live. Well, racing went out of me just like it closed a switch off a light. It was gone out of me, and it's never come back. 16 months later, they gave me 0 to 3 months to live. So my racing started in April that year, 75. And I fought, and I made it. Thank God for that. Thank you. There's nothing like people that support racing, support everyone who's involved. I can't thank you enough. Bob Clark taught me how to drink. I raced for him one year, him and Conrad, all that. Well, we had a drink or two. So anyway, it's a wonderful thing. I'm glad you're all here. I'm going to get away from this mic. I'm going to bore you to death. Reynolds will be over here, give me a butt in the head. I want to thank you again. Thanks, guys.
I need a picture. I need a picture with your plaque, please.
Okay. Where you guys want to get?
You're right in there, Paul.
Come on over here, Paul.
There you go.
Give me a hand.
I'll do another one.
Thank you. Stop shaking. Thank you very much, Roger. Thank you.
Time to get away.
About 6 months ago, Roger sends me an email with a photo of a patch. And he said, I want to make up some patches for you guys for the Hall of Fame. He said, I think we could sell some. Well, it had another cat on it. Well, I like cats, I'm not a cat, but I'm thinking that, only cat people are going to buy these patches. So that was the end of that. And then, little did I know, Roger went back to the drawing board. And about a week ago, he sent me another email with a picture of a new patch. And he says, Midge, he says, check this out. I pretty near dropped to the floor. On this patch is Cal Reynolds. I can tell you it's Cal because of his scarf. His scarf is flying back in the wind behind his neck there, and then in the middle is Conrad Rollins on that PDC Starfire that he raced in 1975 at Bangor there in the middle. And then Roger is sitting on an Articat. They're all lined up and ready to go. Now, when Cal brought that box in of goodies there a few years ago, the first thing I did was dump the entire contents looking for that blue scarf. I said to my wife, I said, he has got to have put that scarf in here somewhere. Well, he never did. The scarf wasn't there in that box, but you know what? If you want a scarf of Cal Reynolds, you buy one of these patches right here. He did a great job. I want to thank Roger for this. Proceeds are going to go to, he said, after I pay the bills for the patch, he said, the profit's going to the Hall of Fame. And I gave Vicky one, Vicky Rollins, and I told Vicky, I said, I don't know how many patches you're going to need for your family, but I don't think you're going to have to get out your wallet. Anybody should buy a patch for Vicky and then buy one for themselves. This is a heck of a patch right here.
I'll take 100.
Right there, Cal. Right there. Awesome patch. All right. The next inductee is Miss Judy Rinaldi. Inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2020. This is very short and sweet, folks, as far as the record goes. We wouldn't have spot, we wouldn't have page enough to put down all of her wins and everything that she's done in her career. Claude Hebert had sent me this. It's a sort of a short and sweet written article about her career at one of those whiteout events over in New York. And when I saw that, I said, that'll be enough. That'll do it. And it's an amazing career. So I'm going to start. Judy began her racing career in 1973, and by 1980, she was considered by most to be the best woman racer in North America. She was only 17 when she set the women's land speed record for snowmobiles at 72.4 miles an hour and nearly set the men's record of 94 miles an hour, but blew a piston 20 feet short of the finish line. Racing rough sleds from her father's dealership, Judy won 10 snowmobile World Series championships. She was the youngest woman to win this title, and after her 9th championship, became the first man or woman to win 9 titles. From Warners, New York, she also drove Mercury, Snowjet, Articat, and Skidoo sleds. On the very same day in 1980 that a USA Olympic hockey team beat the Soviet Union to advance to the gold medal round, Judy Rinaldi won the World Series of Snowmobile Racing in Waldham, Saskatchewan, Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Judy Rinaldi is in the building.
Thank you. I'm very honored. I feel like Paul crying here. But anyways, thank you, Jamie, my family for coming down. Jody, Frank, James, Julia, Ian, Tracy, and Beth. I really appreciate you guys coming down here all this way. It was a long trip, and I'm so glad I came. And my son-in-law, Jay, stayed home to hold the fort down. I have a business that I run, and I'm really glad that he stayed home. But I don't know what else to say besides I really miss my dad. He's the one that got me started, and he's in heaven looking down on me. And I just appreciate, yeah, I know I appreciate everybody, and I'm not really one for too much words besides thanks an awful lot.
How you doing?
Hold it up, Paul. The next recipient is Mr. Joe Wilkinson, inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2020. Joe began racing Skidoo for the Tri-State Power Sled team from Lee, Massachusetts from 1966 to 1973. At the 1969 Berkshire Hills Championship in Pittsfield, Mass., Joe took first place in Stock A, Stock B, Stock C, and Mod 1. He grabbed first place wins in Stock B, Stock C, Mod 1, and Mod 2 at the 1969 Massachusetts State Championship in Greenfield, Mass. At the end of the 1968-69 racing season, Joe was first place in points for Stock A, Stock B, and second in Stock C. He raced to second place finishes in Stock B and Mod 2 at the 1970 Eastern States Expo in West Springfield, Mass., and was the overall stock winner at the 1970 Massachusetts State Championship in Greenfield, Mass. Joe had his 1970 Mod 2 Skidoo Blizzard cookie at 3 New York State races, taking a first in Greenfield, a first in East Jewett, a second in Lake George. He also grabbed a first in Mod 1 in Cobleskill, New York. After a couple of second and third place finishes in 1971, Joe went on a tear, winning first in Mod 2 at Monticello, New York, and Colchester, Connecticut, and first in Mod 3 in Thompson, Connecticut. In 1972, Joe took first place wins in Mod 3 and Mod 5 at the Grand Prix, winning first overall. First in Mod 2 at Morrisonville, New York, first in Mod 3 at Brattleboro, Vermont. Joe raced to a second place finish in Mod 2 at the 1972 Snowmobile World Series in Ironwood, Michigan, and was second in points in Mod 2 for the 1972 season in USSA. In his final season of racing, in 1973, Joe's Mod 2 sled took a first place win at Bangor, Maine, at Northampton, Mass., and he won the Pennsylvania State Championship. Joe Wilkinson's chest was never without a gold bib around it, as he wore several different numbers over the years, with number 5 gold bib being his highest. The great Joe Wilkinson from Massachusetts. Oh, let
Hi, Greg.
Yeah.
Hey, you're doing a good job.
A shout out to Russ Swen for getting all of these records for Joe.
I just want to say thank you to these guys for doing a good job. And they really had to work on me to get me to come here because I was supposed to be in Africa today. So the Africa trip got canceled, so we come up here, and it's really nice to have it. Plus, I got a lot of people here, and it cost me a lot of money to bring them up here. Maybe they'll kick back a little bit, and I can give you some money back. What do you think? I do have a couple stories. I like to tell stories. And how I got started in snowmobile racing is quite interesting because me and my brother bought our first snowmobile in 1961. And it was an old metal nose snowmobile. And then in 64 or 65, I don't remember, I bought a Skidoo, 10 horsepower, and I started tinkering with it because I was always my own mechanic. And we went racing in a small town, Great Barrington, right next to where I live. But this Ray Grant from Tri-State Distributors was there with brand new machines, and he thought he was going to win the cross country. So I beat him in the cross country race. Next year he was down to hire me. So that's how I got my job at Tri-State Power Sled. And I was the second employee for Ray LeGrant. And then in must have been 69, he sold it to Bombardier, and then I raced for Bombardier. So I had it really made in my tire racing career because I got everything paid for and everything done. And anything that I won, I got to keep. It was a really good deal. I had one of the best deals going, I think. So and I raced until Bombardier left in Lee, and they offered me a job in Duluth, Minnesota, but I didn't want to go to Duluth, and I started my own business, which I've been in business for 50 years for myself. But after I stopped racing, my boys started racing, and we raced go-karts all over the country. And one of my boys won a Duffy, which is the highest award you get in go-karts. And then we went from there to street stock cars. We had to try stock cars out, and my other son raced stock cars for quite a few years. Until in 2001, our shop burnt down with our race cars and all my equipment, and we had $1 million fire. But we recovered, but we're not racing anymore. So I'm just hoping that all these people that I brought here tonight will pay me back. Tossie's gonna pay. All right, thank you. Thank you guys for struggling to get me to come here.
Plaque. Get your plaque.
Our final inductee is a man that everybody knows. It's Teddy Wynot. USSA official flagman and promoter, inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame for 2020. Ted began flagging stock car races at Riverside Speedway in Groveton, New Hampshire in 1964. He would stand out in the middle of the track while waving his green flag as two lines of stock cars were racing on either side of him. And after the last stock car passed him, then he'd jump up onto the flag stand again. That probably would not happen today. And in 1966, Ted was invited to flag snowmobile races at the Lancaster Grand Prix, and he never looked back until he flagged his last snowmobile race at Forest Lake in Whitefield, New Hampshire in 1984. His flags, made for him by his wife Doris, were treated like gold. Each one displayed in a certain order, and when the event ended, they were carefully folded, and particularly, flagging was in Ted's blood. Ted's career as a USSA official and chief starter took him to the most prestigious racing events in the Eastern Division of the United States Snowmobile Association, including several main Snow Pro events. Ted's fairness as a flagman earned him the utmost respect from both the competitors and spectators alike. Whenever anyone who has ever passed under one of his checkered flags gathers in conversation and Ted Wynot's name comes up, along with each story told, there are many accompanied smiles. He was a Yamaha representative from 1969 to his retirement, a job he took very seriously, treating his many dealers more like family than business associates, often going above and beyond for them. Cal Reynolds came here today. I asked Cal if he would like to come and say a few words about Ted, and he said he would, and he also brought a trophy that was a prized possession of Cal's for years and years and years. It was given to him by Ted Wynot, and he would like to pass this on to Darcy Cal Reynolds, would you please come up here? Calvin. Calvin, did you ever get that? Did you ever get this look? Did you ever get that look? That's the look that nobody wanted to get right there. When I saw that photo, I said, that's Ted.
This was. Okay. I met you last year.
Okay. How did you get, right? Was this next one?
Yeah, hold that close.
Okay, anybody have me? Okay. That just goes to show you how much one little blue scarf will get you in publicity. I've been wet by everybody in the country. I finished more seconds and thirds and fifths and tenths. And there's a guy sitting over there, the heroes, the guys that have really deserved all the attention. So I appreciate all the comments and everything, but one little blue scarf, what a promoter I am. Okay, I'd like to speak on behalf of every guy that ever, or every gal that ever raced snowmobiles and ever took a flag from Ted Weiner. When he stepped out on the track, well, whether it was a race, because he also flagged at my stock car track that I raced at, and I took flags, checkered flags from him down in Beachwood Speedway, and I had backed into a couple of races, the snowmobile races. So when he stepped on the track, you knew who was in charge. And he didn't have to be flamboyant. He had class. He had class. He always dressed right. He always carried himself well, and he was well respected. And I think there's not one person, gals or guys, Bruce, Matty over there, wake up, Matty. Any one of us that ever took a flag from Ted Weiner respected him. And when he was on the line and he said, get over there, you get over there. You didn't argue with him. You didn't put your... Okay, Reynolds, get over there in that blue ice. Okay, I'll be on the blue ice. We never argue. So Ted was also my Yamaha rep, because I was a Yamaha dealer. And I just could not say enough about Ted Weiner, what a great guy he was, on and off the track. Off the track. What a character he was. I'm sorry, he'd get you in more trouble. I just want you to know that.
I know.
I just want you to know that your dad was well respected. I mean, Bombardier, Timberland, he went with the Timberland contingent to the World Series out in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Yep. And I mean, the guy was part of the gang. Yep. And without Ted Weiner, it would never have been as colorful, and it wouldn't have been the same. So I just want to do one more thing with Darcy. In Barry, Vermont, in the 340 class, I got lucky. I won the race, and I got a trophy. I got a trophy, and it was my best trophy I ever got. It was the only snowmobile or stock car trophy I ever got. I give them all away, and I want to give that trophy to you. We got it right here. I have a picture already.
Sorry about that.
This is Ted presenting at the second flag.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And he's back too, but you can see by the smile on his face, he was giving me a handshake and he was grinning, because you look in the background, it's Frank Dodge, one of the #1 rider in the East.
In the East,
He
yeah.
carried the #1 bib in the 340 class, and I think Bob Martin's back there too. And Bobby's the guy that turned my switch off one day going on the backstretch. So,
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I see that picture, and Ted is laughing because he knows I never should have won the 340 class. But anyway, I want you to have this picture too over the trophy.
Thank you
So,
so much.
keep it
Together.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Boy, you want me to give that one?
We have
Yeah.
we have a first place trophy from that Cal Reynolds
Look,
won
make
in
it look like you
Lancaster.
give one to a cow, like you're handing it to her.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Now we have to have the presenter.
We all think the world of that. Cal Reynolds can be as humble as he wants to be, but when you're nominated by the USSA Race Committee as being the best driver, the top 12 best driver, and the best sportsman in the same year, there was only one other driver that ever shared that, and his name was Bob Eastman. So Cal can say what he wants. But there's two people that got voted best driver and best sportsman in the same year. So Cal Reynolds is a #1 guy in my book. Okay, here we go. The 2020 class of Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame inductees.
My name is George Gordon. I'm very happy to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, Snowmobile Hall of Fame up here in Lancaster. I raced snowmobiles for probably 12 years, 13 years. Maybe 12 of them, 8 of them, I raced every race. I never missed a race for at least 8 years in a row. Wow. And then I left it one time probably and was out for 2 years, and then I came back and raced again for another 2 years. And I was very happy. I thought I was successful at it, and I was pretty honored to be able to get into the Hall of Fame. A lot of people worked hard for me to get in there. Yeah. Bruce and Mitch and Paul. Yeah. And all the board of directors for the Hall of Fame. And I really feel humbled to be with these same people that when I first started riding snowmobiles and racing snowmobiles, I looked up to, and I never thought I would be able to be in such a position to be on the Hall of Fame. Yeah. And I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Paul, I'm so happy and proud to be a member of the inductees of this Eastern Hall of Fame. I'm telling you right now, and all the guys that were there today, I looked up to them. They were there before me, and I watched them go, and I watched them win. And I told Bruce Dunham today, my first race, I was 15 years old, and I went to a race in New Hampshire with an old Polaris, and I went out there, and I looked at all these tractor-trailer trucks and equipment, and it just gave me the bug. And I was fortunate enough. I had an old Polaris, 372 Hilo. It had a flip seat for the belts and the tools, and I got it. The first race was a cross country, and I actually won it. I actually won it against the Timberland crew and everything. Nice. But it wasn't a fast machine, but it had cleats, and there was a lot of snow. They had a snowstorm. Yep. So I had the advantage. So while the skidoos were spinning up through the woods and everything, my big long track was digging and going. I'm just going, flying around and having a great time. But the funniest part was, the oval was next. About 3 hours later, I got in the oval with the same guys, and first thing you know, they're gone. They almost lapped me. In 5 laps, they almost lapped me. That's how slow the Polaris was. Wow. So I said, geez, I got to get another sled. I better get a skidoo or something here. Yeah. So then at the end of the day, they had jumping. So this was my father's trail sled. So anyway, I get up there and I said, I'm going to get into the jumping. Might as well. I don't look that high. So I get into the jumper. He's jumping. I get up there with that thing and just hit it up in the air. And when I come down, all the springs and the bogey wheels broke. The backrest where my mother used to sit on the back, that broke off. But the only thing that was holding it was the wire from the snowmobile. Oh, God. And then back then, those Polarises has the cleats to pull the hood out. Yeah. The cowl flew off, everything. And you know what I got for it? I won a little trophy, right? So on my way home, I got a flat with the trail. My father don't even know now. I took this machine to a race. It was my first race ever. Spindle broke, lost a Baron. Now I called my father. I go into this guy's house with no cell phone. Hey, Dad, I'm in New Hampshire with him. He drives up. He says, what are you doing? He says, I went to a race today. He says, you did? So he says, how'd you do? I says, well, I got 2 little trophies. I got one for the cross country, and I got one for the jumping. He looks at his machine. The backrest is missing. Where you keep the tools and everything, all the tools are gone. I lost all the tools. And then he looks, the cowling snaps are all broken. And then he looks underneath, every spring was broken back. It was all bogey wheels. He says, and now I got to take this home. He says, yeah, Dad, we got to load it, put it in a truck, and then we'll throw the trailer. It was unbelievable. That was my first race ever. And Bruce Dunham that day won every race. Wow. Every race. And the Timberland crew were all there. And that's when I got the bug. That was it.
You were hooked after that, huh?
And the following week after that, I went to see a guy that rented snowmobiles that had a 370 offset skidoo, offset skidoo. And I told him what happened. He says, Paul, I'll sell you my sled. It was a mod sled. He says, I'll sell it to you. I said, how much? He says, $800. I go, $800. All right. So I bought that. And then I went on to Berlin, New Hampshire, and won my first race with that sled. Wow. And a guy saw me. This is a great story. A guy saw me win with that sled. He came up to me and says, his name was Bob Gowan. Never knew him. Never saw him before. He come over with his wife. He says, are you racing Lancaster next week? The big race international? I says, yes, I'm going to go with this machine. He says, would you like to drive my 340 mod skidoo for me? I says, sure. So we met. I never saw the machine. I got up to Lancaster right here. Actually, I stayed in this motel right here. Huh. And I took his sled. They had a cross country. So I went to cross country with my sled. But listen to this. He brings the sled to me. He says, go ahead. We get in the race. I win the oval against all the best riders around. And the worst part is I was all full of mud. With 2 laps to go, I was in the lead. My throttle broke. But back then, the carburetor is right in front of you. So I reached down and just ran the throttle with one hand and drove and finished the 2 laps with it. And from that day on, believe it or not, I gave him the trophy.
I got the money. I never saw that man again.
Wow.
Ever again. And it was unbelievable. And they tore me down, make sure it was illegal.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got started racing.
Wow.
And then 2 weeks later, the guy saw me in Berlin and then saw me in Lancaster. And that's when the Rupp guys approached me to race for them for Rupp. And it was a full boat. Never bought rented a room, bought a chewing gum, food, everything. I was taken care of for 10 straight years from Rupp. And then I also raced for Chaparral. I was also raced for Bottle Oil, and back then I had a Polaris 650, a 340 cat, and a 400 stock. I had 3 brands, all with their lettering and everything. And then we did that, and then after that, I got back. Rupp wanted me to stay, just do Rupps, not cat and Polaris. So then I went into all the mod stuff. We made everything modifieds, and that's just how it went, and it just went on. And later on in the years, Mercury called me up, Lyle Forsgren from Rupp, the Rupp factory, because he saw me race at Eagle River out there and got 2 seconds at Eagle River with his the 340 mod Rupps. And he says, Paul, I'm working for Mercury now, and I want to send you 2 sleds from the factory. I want you to race for us to be the first Mercury's to hit Maine. And they sent that to me, and it was unbelievable. It was just those sleds was just so fast, so ahead of everybody else that it was unbelievable that I never lost a 295 mod or 400 stock a race the whole winter, not even a heat or semifinal. It was like ridiculous. And the worst part is, I got to say this, I only used 4 belts on 2 sleds the whole winter.
Wow.
It was amazing. And I do all my own clutch work back then. The first year I didn't even have a mechanic.
Wow.
You didn't need one. The sled was so unbelievable. All I do was lube my clutches, and that's it, and get my steering down and my studding.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And then in Boonville, if I wouldn't have got hurt in Boonville, I would have liked to have gone to Eagle River, because I was favored to win a couple of sleds. And there was nothing. It's not like they were close races. They were like slaughters. The machines were so much faster.
Yeah.
And then I took that year off the heel and came back. And Dick Lane out of Good Alberta, he says, Paul, you want to go back into race? I says, makes no difference to me. He said, well, I got a couple of sleds for you. And they came up with a 250 and a 440s. And we took that up to Jackman. Everybody came up from everywhere. Even Brad Hollins was when they raced 3 classes against me.
Yeah.
He won 1 and I won 2. And that's how we met and became friends. And it was fantastic. And then I won 5 out of 6 features. And people looked at me saying they never thought I'd ever race again, because I had to take a whole year just to heal my legs and my shoulders and arms. But I went on for 6 more weeks and I retired in Lancaster, right here. 12 years when I first started. How's that?
Wow.
I retired on a Saturday. I didn't even stay for Sunday. I retired on a Saturday the day I started. I says, this is it. I'm done. I had another child coming. I was building a house. I had a fuel oil business. I just didn't have the time anymore.
Yeah.
And I says, this is it. So, but after that, between you and I, I've been still snowmobiling for the last 22 winters.
Nice, recreationally.
Recreationally. I'm up in Jackman, Maine. I'm in Canada. I'm in Moosehead. I'm in Rangeley. I'm everywhere. And I still enjoy riding. And I don't know, I'll probably be 95. I'll still be riding.
Yeah.
But I want to, but it's to thank, plus I never had a chance to thank all the great mechanics I had. There were so many, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it's unbelievable. But they know who they are. Some of them have passed. But Bob Thompson was my big one. And then Lou Alcone, who traveled the country with me. And Roger Sanborn. And it's just, and of course, I'm not going to forget Dick Lane. We call him Doc Lane because he was like a little professor, working on motors. We call him Doc Lane. That's how he got his nickname. And we built some nice sleds together. And that's how we won races as a team, as friendship. And and to this day, these people are still my friends. And I get to ride with friends that I raced with years ago. Actually, 6 of us rented a whole motel for the last 10 years in Jackman, Maine. They were all ex-racers.
Oh, when you went trail riding?
When we trail ride.
Nice.
So we go riding, all that. Of course, we still race.
It's competitive sometimes?
Competitive. It gets a little competitive. And we do this. And I've been, like I say, for 22 years. They asked me tomorrow, Paul, where are you going tomorrow? They all show up. And, I had a camp there for 12 years. We all show up. And I take them off trail here, there. And they say, geez, we got to ride with Paul. He's going to take us here, take us there. And we just don't stop.
Yeah.
And I just love the sport. And I just wish, I feel bad for a lot of people that haven't got into it.
Yeah.
And the funniest part is when they do get into it, I don't care if they're great golfers. I've got guys that I brought down that are great golfers, great skiers, mogul skiers. And now they're all riding snowmobiles, and they're all off trail, and they only wish they could have done this when they were younger.
Yeah, I bet.
So, but anyway, and I want to thank you for what you're doing here, and at least to let people know that, it's never too late. I've got people that never rode a snowmobile that are 7 years old, and they're up there every weekend. They can't wait for Friday.
Nice.
They can't wait for Thursday. Some of these guys are retired, and once they get on them, say, now there's no more, it's not like the old days. Your hands stay clean. You don't change belts.
Yeah.
The machines run. You put gas in them, you ride. Gas in them, you ride. You probably put oil in them if you got a 2-stroke. You just put oil in them probably every 300-400 miles. It's a whole different thing. And if people get into it, they'll go, wow, never mind, staying at home wondering, geez, I'm 70 years old, I'm coming to the end of my, but you're not. Everybody, if you're healthy, you feel good, the fresh air, everything. And when you get done, the fun starts, you know,
Yeah.
after the riding. And but I'd like to see more people, you know, get into it. They don't have to race, but just get into the sport, and they're going to say, wow, what have I missed? And they'll be there. They'll be there, and they're going to say, this is unbelievable.
You're right, because even recreationally, it's a whole lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you got people, we got guys out there 80, 85 years old going to Canada on weekends, going here and there, and they've been doing it for 25, 30 years, and they won't stop. They say, well, they'll bury me, then I'll stop.
Yeah.
And you run into these people everywhere. And like I say, the equipment, everything's warmer now, handlebars,
Yeah.
the seats,
The
the
clothing,
suits, the equipment.
yeah.
It's not like the old days. The
No.
old days, you worked on them for 3 hours, you worked on them for one.
Yes.
And then you
Yeah.
come back, you're frozen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is a whole different. And so this is what this interview, I'd love to see more people get into it. And you're never too old. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to tell you what I've noticed. All these young guys, 20, 21, 20, up to 30, they've all given up different sports just to do off-trail snowmobiling now. That is the biggest coming thing.
Yeah.
With their GoPros and everything, they go up into the woods. They're in snow 4 or 5 feet, and they're taking pictures of each other, going climbing mountains. And they love it. And these
Yeah.
guys are all great skiers. They're all good athletes. And they said, "Man, this is where it's at." So now
Yeah.
everybody's buying these 3-inch paddles,
Yeah.
153-inch tread,
Yeah.
and they go, "This is the light." And they're up on top of mountains, going, "Are you kidding me? There's nothing better than this."
Yeah, it's
so I
amazing.
love to see the new young generation. And they don't have to race because they're doing it amongst themselves,
Yeah.
climbing, playing. So they're getting a thrill, and they're filming everything. Everything's filmed. So, and they go back at night and they put it in, and they watch each other guy bury his sled and this. But anyway, this is one interview I'm glad we've had, and I just hope more people get into it, especially the young kids, and take them out of their little ruts. Right now with this pandemic and stuff, people are they don't know what to do. But I'll tell you right now, we were out in this pandemic happened, we were out in the woods, we were riding, we enjoyed every minute, and while people were just sad, and we were just still having fun every day, every night. And of course, on Sunday nights we come home. Some had to work, some are retired, and we're all anxious to leave again for next weekend.
For the next adventure.
Next weekend, and we took out foods. We go to takeouts, go to our rooms, eat them in room.
Yeah.
Then the next morning, 8, 9 o'clock, everybody's on their sleds,
Nice.
cruising.
Hitting the trail.
Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Belanger, and I represented Tom Peters today at the Eastern Hall of Fame induction. I received Tom's award for him today. It was a great honor to do so. I reached out to him this morning and told him I put 3 pairs of socks on so I could fill his shoes. And he shared with me that he was only a size 9. But what I know of Tom is not a lot. I met the gentleman at the Lancaster National Snowmobile Show. Him and his wife were very polite. They parked beside us inside the building. And we formed a relationship, and I feel that we will be friends forever. It was an honor for him to ask me to receive his award today. I was able to share some things that he wanted to share with the crowd. It's very unfortunate he wasn't able to make it. But like I said, I'm proud to do so. Tom and I have a gentleman's agreement, and he has a 72 293 Blizzard, which is one of the sleds that he won most of his races with, that he acquired from me. And hopefully someday I will get that snowmobile back and keep on the tradition for Tom Peters. Like I said, one of the great people that I've met in life. Sometimes life isn't all about the trophies, it's about the people that you meet, and he's on the top shelf of my trophy rack.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
I'm Roger Bowen, and I was just inducted into the Hall of Fame. Very honored to be in the same class with all the elite. My racing goes back to 1967 when I started at 17. And I couldn't run with the men until I was 17. My father wrote a note and gave it to the Ski-Doo dealer I was racing with. He gave me a ride to races every week. And when I registered up, he pulled that out of his wallet, and I got to race with the men.
Nice.
My first 2 years was just really putting seat time in. But I did get on a lot of sleds, and I did quite a bit of winning. And it was all out of my pocket. And we were at a barnyard race not far down the road from me, and I blew my sled all up on Saturday. And we're in a bar that night, and a fellow leaned back in his seat, and his name was Bob Belanger. He was vice president of Rodco. And he says, can you run a cat? I said, you put one under my butt, and I'll show you how I run a cat. So on Sunday, I won everything. I won the oval, the cross country, the slalom, and the drag.
Yeah.
So I must have impressed the people at Rodco a little bit, because they took me to Barrie the following week. And now this back in the day, it was a one-cylinder mod. That's what it was, 1970. And at the sanctioned race, long story short, I'm leading the final. I'm running away, and I blew them over. So I turned it the inside of the fourth corner, and I kicked that hood. This is a brand new sled, brand new. I kicked that hood, it flopped open and shut real quick. And Rod Hughes said to Bob Belanger, Rod Hughes being the president of Articat, the owner, and Bob being the vice, he said, you think the boy is mad? And he chuckled that off. Well, I must have impressed him, because the following year I was racing for Rodco. They gave me a 292 and a 340 alky burners in R&D, research and development. You'll hear me say R&D a lot. And did good. Jack Lynn had his team going, and Jack Lynn's brother was a chemist, And he used to send me up with 55-gallon drums of alcohol with all kinds of mixtures, and would send me stuff and say, put a cap full of this into a 5-gallon pail, don't get any on you. You wonder what you're playing with.
Yeah.
So that was a fun year, and I got to learn a lot, and I did well. And they did not race in 72. Rocco did not do nothing. So I ended up getting after Bob Clark for a ride on that 5-man team, and the only holdup was Louis Lund. Didn't know where he was going. He ended up finally going chaparral, and I got to ride on the team with Conrad Rollins and Jim Steele, Gary Pillsbury, and Bo Chisley. And did good. My father, I had him buy a 340 TX that year, because I told him to. I said, I want to race it. I'd already raced it once. My guy getting a divorce, he got repoed, and I said, I want you to buy that sled. Because I won the week before. So Dad bought it. And I took it on Thursday, and I had it from Thursday to Sunday. Sunday night, he could have his sled to Wednesday, going for a trail riding.
Yeah.
And he was so proud. He went to races every week. He bought a motorhome so he could go. He was so proud of his son and proud of his sled out there. And he was like the real first sponsor, you know,
Wow.
in 72 outside of Rocco.
Yeah.
And so that year, I was the only one on the team who went to the World Series. I qualified that 340 stalker and my 650 mod. And we went out. The other guys didn't do nothing. And so that was a good year with Bob Clark and so forth. And the following year, I ended up going back to Rocco. Bobby Hughes and I were going to race together. But at the last minute, Ron Hughes said to Bobby, his son, he said, I'm going racing, you're going to learn business, and pull him right out. So that just left me, and now I had 4 sleds, which didn't really hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
So I had 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, you know.
Nice.
Nice. And 73 was my best year. I just won, and I won, and I won. And I won at a 650 class every week. Charlie Lofton was running for the factory. He won every week. And I had to stay in New England because you're a New England distributor. Finally, they came up to Lancaster, New Hampshire, and I couldn't wait to get a hold of Charlie. So he went on his qualifier, I go out mine, the semi, we win. Now we get to the final. Now we're going to see what's going to go.
Yeah.
We come off the line, and then Charlie and I, boom. He was like third out second. I pulled right over beside him and stayed right there. I could have passed him in the corner, but I just stayed right there. I want to see what kind of power he had. And his factory team. And we hit the back stretch, and I am not 2 inches off Charlie all the way around the corner coming out. And Charlie pinned it. He looked over at me, and I looked over at Charlie. And I went like this and pulled the rest of my hammer. And he must have had a 250 because I took off. I slingshot the corner, outside and inside the third, hit the snowbank, do a turn, and inside the fourth outlet, lay out and go. Well, when I turned it in the snowbank, I broke my suspension, which jabbed into the track. Now, when I turned it, I looked to my left, and Charlie was just going into the third. He's way behind.
Yeah.
That's the first line. So I hit the throttle, and the suspension caught the track. Then it blew the chain blew the chain case, it blew the belt and took the crankshaft right out of the machine. I totaled it. All it did underneath me, and I never put a scratch in it. Totaled it. So we're in the pit, and I got it sitting on an electric tailgate. Next thing you know, I got 3 guys who want to talk to me. There's the president of Attic, the vice president, and Roger Skimes.
Wow.
He was
Roger Skime himself.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I already had a resume into it, because I really wanted a factory ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured I'm just as good, if not a better driver than the factory guy out there, as far as that's concerned. And
Yeah.
other people agreed. And the president of Attic said to me, he said, wow, he said, Charlie had nothing for you. I turned around and looked at him and said, hey, nobody got nothing for me. Nobody did.
Yeah.
I was so fast.
Yeah.
There's a reason. So they wanted to buy my sled, and I went saw it to them. Next morning, Monday morning, I took the sled in R&D and figured out exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And Rod called me up to the office, and he said, I heard you had conversation with some people. I said, yes, I did. He says, why didn't you sell them the sled? I said, no, you'll sell them the sled. I said, remember I wanted private class wallets, they didn't want to help me. So they just want to know why I'm so fast. So Rod, we went down to the warehouse and said to the fellow in the warehouse, are any more 650s? They said, yeah, I got one. He said, bring it to R&D. So I told him one on Sunday afternoon, Monday morning, I got a brand new one.
Nice.
Rod says, can you have it ready for the weekend? I said, my other 3 sleds are in good shape. Yeah, I'll have it ready. And I did. And the following week, I got to go overall champion at Thunder Road. My sled was really, really fast because the work that I did, and this is the trick. We have 40 millimeter carburetors. And being at the distributor, you hear things. And I hear things about next year we're going to have 44 mil. John Powell walks in one day, throws a briefcase up on my bench, opens it up with a grease rag, and opens that up, and there's 3 slides, 44 millimeter slides. I look, I said, John, where did you get them? He says, I was down at Attic and I stole them. I said, good job. Good job. I said, wait a minute. I went over and I spun the top off my 40 and I set it right there and I had enough meat. And I said, oh yeah, John, I can use these. So he left and I left, and we had a machinist that worked for us, Rocco.
Yeah.
And I said, you meet me in my R&D at 1 o'clock after lunch. And I headed to the parts store, parts department, and I got 3 brand new 40s. And back and met me at 1. I said, I want these to fit in here. So we broke out the mics and everything. We checked everything. Yep, we can do it. I said, cool. So we bored them out, all 3 carburetors with the slide to fit, and then I bored out the Ventura.
Yeah.
We put it on, jetted and everything, and it just wouldn't idle right low, and I couldn't get enough air, so I'm taking pilot jets. I had to put in the biggest pilot jet to give the air, weren't enough. So I pulled out my number drill and I started drilling. Put them in, not quite, drill them, not quite. But I got it where it's supposed to be. That sled would sit there and crack. It didn't go blah, 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 it was cracking, you know,
Yeah.
that throttle, it was, you know,
Really responsive, huh?
crazy responsive. When I put them carburetors on, I picked up more acceleration, and I never saw top end on that sled. The pull was unreal.
Yeah.
And I don't care who I was racing, I'd blow them away.
Yeah.
I blew the factory away. I blew Cal Reynolds. I blew any of them. Everybody. They didn't hold. I had them all like 15 miles an hour or better. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Not on 1 mile an hour, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But no, I just annihilating them. So the following, I didn't go to the World Series that year. I qualified 3 classes, but I didn't go to the World Series to Malone. It was just muddy, and I didn't want to go. Anyway, Rockville was running out of money. They were having a hard time. And I expected any day I'd go to work and there'd be a padlock on R&D and that might be over. But no, Rod loved racing. And you win on Sunday, you sell on Monday.
Yeah.
And I'm winning all the time. Lots of winning going on. So he kept me going. That was nice of him.
Good. And that was translating to sales for them?
Oh, sure does.
Wonderful.
Oh, yeah. You win on Sunday, you'll sell on Monday.
Good.
And everybody knew me. You know, I mean, I was just kicking ass.
Yeah.
If anybody's racing in my class, they knew right off the bat they're not winning.
Yeah.
It was that simple. So we made arrangements with a guy in Springfield. And my 650 went there, and I went with it. And that's all I ran that year was that 650, and I won so much, I got myself a number 7 bid.
Yeah.
Running just 1 sled. That's pretty cool. That's kind of thing to do. A lot of guys running 2 classes, and I only had 1 sled.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then the following year, I raced a little 433 Thunderjet for a guy out in Buffalo, New York. I ran that 6 weeks, and I hated the sled. I ran it 6 weeks and won 4, but I still hated the sled. So I quit. And I got on a little factory Yamaha with the boys out of Sherbrooke, Canada.
Yeah.
And that thing was fast. I'd win the 340 every week. Put in the 440, I'd win out and take second. I'd put in the 650 class, take second and third.
Yeah.
The thing was fast.
Yeah.
Real quick. And that was in 75. In February, I won the Governor's Cup down there, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that was February. And in March, it was the end of racing season, and again, I didn't bother to go to the World Series. And in April, I came down with cancer.
Oh.
And I lived racing 24/7 all year round. That's all I could think about, racing, going faster, what I can do. Looking forward to the new models coming out. But when the cancer happened, it was just like a light switch click. Racing going. Chemo they give you would just tear you up so bad. I just had it. I'd had it. And here I am. And they sent me a lot of papers to fill out every few months, wondering why I'm still alive. I did ask the doctor about how many people had this particular type of cancer in Vermont. He said 6. I said, how are they? He said, they're all deceased. So, at the same time in the beginning. But,
Jeez.
I was getting blown out of me. It's like, my God, I've been such a strong, powerful man, in my mind and thought and building, positive in what I'm doing, and all that being taken away. It was horrible.
Yeah.
The following year, I earned another gold bib. And following year, it'd be 76. I told my dad, I said, let's go to Weedsport, New York. I want to see the boys. I know the boys want to see me. So we went. And I see a lot of boys. I don't know who this guy was this day, but he had a brand new 340 Twister. He says, Roger, you racing this? No, I didn't bring nothing. I'm not running. Run my sled. I said, no, you got a driver. You got a driver right there. You let him run. I want you to run. I looked at the driver. I said, are you okay with that? He said, yeah. I said, okay. If I run your sled, you'll be ahead because I'll know what's wrong and I'll tell him what's going to be fixed. Which I did. And I got a third in the final, 340 miles, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's all the sled would give me. But they cut me so bad on the head, remove muscles and such that I was never 100%. It can't be 100%, and I can't be 120.
Yeah.
So that was my last race ever. Teddy Wynot was at that track. He was a race director in the Flagman. And Teddy come see me, asked how I was doing, and we had a conversation, this and that. He said, are you done driving? I said, yes, I'm all done driving. He said, would you come and be a tech man for us? I laughed at that. I went, yeah, right. I said, you got a list that long of guys that want to be tech men. He said, yes, I do. He said, when it comes to you, there's no list.
Yeah.
I said, cool. I thought about it for a minute, and I said, I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, Ted, thanks for the opportunity. I said, but I can't take it because I don't know if I can do a whole job for you. I don't even know if I'm going to be alive next month.
Yeah.
So I never took it. And that was the final of me in the USSA racing, everything. That was it, done.
Yeah.
And it never came back into me, the racing and all that stuff. And I've got a wealth of knowledge. My knowledge of racing and building is just incredible. And I taught myself, but I just let it all go. But racing is great. I feel honored about getting into the Hall of Fame. It wasn't to give me, it was earned.
Sure.
And all them guys that are in there, they earned it.
Yeah, yeah.
And the big guns, well, they're no bigger than me. And we all have respect for each other. And that's what's good. You know? We can talk great stories about each other, all with respect.
Yeah, that's cool.
Other than that, I don't know much more to say. I'm proud of what I did. And I would do it again.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
My
I
name is
appreciate
Judy
it.
Rinaldi, and I was very honored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame today. My whole family actually came down today. My daughter and my grandson, my granddaughter, and a bunch of friends and two of my cousins. So I definitely had a great time. I don't really know what else to say besides being very honored. Saw a whole bunch of my old friends. Diane Baker, who was a really good friend of mine, was here today, and that's about all I really have to say. I don't
Sure.
really say a lot.
That's all right. Do you have any thoughts about maybe some of the favorite sleds that you rode, or favorite racing locations, or favorite specific races, or any stories about races that stand out? You know, there's one particular race where something happened that stands out, or
I think when we were in Saskatchewan up in Canada, I remember going into the feature and then pulled the sled out to run the final race, and they forgot to put the carbides on the sled.
Uh-oh.
I was in panic mode.
Yeah.
Because they actually waited for me to put the carbides on to race the sled.
Oh, they waited for you.
They
Wow.
waited for me, yeah. So that was one of the things I remember that was very tense.
Yeah, no doubt.
Other than that, my dad was my biggest hero in the whole world.
Yeah.
I lost him back in 1978 of a heart attack.
Oh no.
But I have a watch that my cousin made. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, and it's a photo of your dad.
Oh boy, it's
Of you and your dad. Oh, let me get the good angle. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll keep that forever.
Whatever. He was my hero.
Yeah. Now, was he into racing as well? Is that how you got into it? Is through him, or?
He used to sell Rupp snowmobiles.
Yeah.
And so we started. He had a couple on the show. We had a little barn shop down where we live, and he threw a snowmobile in the back of his pickup truck, and we just went down to Honeywell, Pennsylvania, and I raced the race down there and won it. That's how we got started. So, and then after that, I just fell in love with the sport. My father actually fell in love with the sport, and I kind of fell in love with it because he was in love with it.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yeah, he was a great man. Everybody
Good.
loved him.
Sure. So, any thoughts about Rupp? Is that why you're wearing red today? Is that kind of to honor the brand? Or?
Yes, my
Good.
father loved Rupp. And
Yep.
Paul Lamonte, he's a great man. Today he was inducted too.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a Rupp rider for a while, wasn't he?
Yep, and I didn't really know him.
Yeah.
But today, yeah.
Had a chance to get to know him and visit with him a little?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And Elaine, his wife, so it was
Yeah.
great.
Well, good.
So
Good. Well, thank you. Any final thoughts or anything else you can think of to add? Or?
I had a wonderful time. The people are wonderful, and snowmobile racing was definitely a big part of my life. My dad, like I say, I truly miss him, but my whole family came down today, so it really made up for it.
Yeah, that's huge.
It was big.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the invite.
I appreciate it.
Southern end of the trail system. And what's great about this property is it is on the trail system. In other words, you can park your rig outside your door here at this property, get on it in the morning, and take off. You're on Quarter 5. You don't
Right
have
on
to
the trail.
get to Quarter 5. You're on it.
Exactly.
And in addition to that, the configuration of the motel, which you can see, has the parking for the snow machines, for the trailers, for their trucks. That patio is opened up. It's all available for them to park right pretty much in front of their door.
Yeah.
In addition to that, we made sure that we were noted on the trail map system as a parking location. So even if you're not staying here, you can park your rig here and take off.
Nice.
We also have room out back, a pretty good sized field that can probably accommodate, I don't know, maybe 10 machines, 10 rigs. And that's an area that we park their snow machine, trailers, and so on, and they can stay there, either if they're guests of ours for multiple days, or if they're just going to park and ride and then load up and go back home. So we have a way to accommodate probably, my competition, they're good people, but they don't have the parking capability. They're not on the trail. So we are really set up for the snowmobiling.
Yeah.
Plus, we have some other options to, I think, accommodate those folks that really want to make a season of snow machining, in that we have a number of rooms that are available as seasonals.
Yeah.
In that we can, person can make this their condo or their camp. They have a camp in the North Country. Basically, you rent the room for the month, it's your room.
Yeah.
Or through the season, but a month at a time, it's your room. You bring up all your stuff, all your equipment, all your clothes, keep it in the room. Throughout the week, it's there. You get off work Thursday night, you get in your car, drive up here, bam, and start. So, you don't have to hook up and pull your equipment and unload. It's all here.
Yeah.
So it's just an option. That's not going to work for everybody. But there are some people who will find that to be a quick and easy way to have their own property in the North Country.
Yeah, for the right person, that's a really
Yeah.
good situation.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we have a number of rooms that are set up for seasonals. We have the parking, we have the space, we're on the Quarter 5, and most importantly,
Ruby and I love snow sheeters.
Nice.
We had our first season
Yeah.
in this hospitality industry last year, and they were our favorite group. They've got great energy. They're out in the day having a good time. And they come back and maybe a little bit of circus water, and they can tell you the stories,
Yes.
and it's fantastic, you know. So we had a good time with those groups, and we had a couple of groups that came twice throughout the season, and we're all friends now.
Right.
You know?
Well, and the thing about this property, first of all, for me, historically, this is the epicenter of Lancaster.
Yeah.
And a lot of these fellows that, and women that were here today actually stayed here back in the day.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to give that back to the community, and the snowmobilers allow us to do that because this is like ground zero for
sure.
snowmobiling.
Right. Yeah.
So we feel like we should be an intimate part of that.
Yeah.
So that we're reaching out to them in any way we can, making them part of
A
our
reciprocal
family.
situation.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Right.
And they can walk to town, and our downtown is up and coming, and they can walk to things, and they don't have to
Right.
drive down the street or walk down the street a half mile.
Right.
It's just a few hundred feet, and you're
And
right
you're in the
there.
middle of all the
Yeah.
action. The brew pub, the award-winning brew pub,
Yeah.
that's actually voted third year in a row as the #1 brew pub in the state.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
just
literally, I
yesterday.
could throw a rock, just about. After a couple of the beers, I probably could throw the rock out there. But anyway, the fact is, it's right down the street. The bakery and breakfast restaurant right down the street. The art gallery right down the street. Literally, you would not get in your car. You would walk to those things. They're that close.
Yeah.
And so having all that, having Lancaster in the palm of your hand, connecting to a property that had a great history with snow machining, and to really re-emphasize what you said, this is where it started.
That's true.
Exactly.
This is where it started, and
And I think we need
Yeah.
to reclaim that.
Yeah.
The same way we're trying to reclaim this motel.
Sure.
I think we need to reclaim that history. I think it's gone out into the world, and we're sort of forgotten.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see us, back on the map for that again.
Yeah, and people connect their memories to this, and it's a way to reconnect the memories
Right,
and keep it alive. And
Exactly.
Absolutely, that's
Exactly.
right. And so that's what we're trying to do with this motel in general.
Yeah.
But this is one important aspect of it that we can tap into and relight that history, which is fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool, and I'm sure it's well received because all the memories and history here is just everyone loves
Yeah,
it.
you
know?
notice that when
if
we
you were part of it,
experienced
it's,
it,
it's,
that's
it's a
right.
fire that continues to burn in your mind.
And they did
Yeah.
have a vintage snowmobile race here this past winter, and maybe that's something that we can start doing, being known for these types of vintage
Yeah,
races.
being in the loop on
or-
that, associated
Yeah,
with
and
it.
we had the
want to
Grand
do
Prix. We could bring the Grand Prix back. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many dedicated people. We just need to figure out how to get everybody together on the same page so that we can all benefit in our community.
Right.
So you can start seeing some economic energy from it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the motel, I mean, our effort has been well received in the community. This was an important property for the community for years.
Yeah.
And it was somewhat disconnected in the last 10, 15 years, just circumstance. But now,
Yeah.
as we reconnect to the community, we have a tremendous support, which is actually almost emotional for me.
Yeah.
These people being my neighbors, have come out and helped us in many ways and support us. And so you've got a property with new floors, new mattresses, new cable, new TVs, new Wi-Fi. And so these are things that make this a comfortable stay. You're not going to get French soap or anything.
Sure.
But it's a great stay for a snow machine weekend.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
All the modern things you would want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right,
Absolutely.
Media bar.
That's
Yeah.
right, the media
All
bar.
that, yeah.
And you saw the actual bar coming back to life.
Yeah.
Maybe a month or two,
Right.
and then you can, I guess, sort of embellish your stories with a little bit of fuel.
Absolutely.
In the evening.
Stories flow better after a couple.
They
yeah.
do, that's
Yeah,
right.
they do.
Very good.
Fish gets bigger.
Yeah, the fish gets bigger, exactly.
Very good.
The ice fishing gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
that's
so
it.
that's pretty much what we're about.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Yeah, I appreciate it.